Happy Facebook Live time. Hi, I'm Melissa Kerman with Melissa's Crafting Treehouse, and I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, have been a demonstrator for 17 years, and I love what I do. I love my craft, and I love sharing it with you. So whether you're joining in live or for the replay, I'm so glad that you've joined in. Hi, Cindy. So good to see you here. It's been a long time. Hi, Tina. Yay, people joining in. I see the numbers rising. Wonderful. So I got something fun in store, of course, today. Some quick announcements, and then we'll get into it. Hi, Kathleen. Hi, Pam. Yay. So good to see you here. So just to start with, let's see. Okay, so my project today features the companion to what I shared last week. So I'm sharing something with the Today's Tiles stamp set. And last week I featured projects with the Field Tiles dies. So I'm super excited about this. Now I haven't used them together on a project, but I'm using them on their own. So it's good to know that you can use them both ways. So we'll get to that shortly. Some quick reminders, the starter kit special is still going on. It's going on this month, but we're more than halfway through the month. So the starter kit special, basically you get a free bundle to pick along with your $99 starter kit. Plus you get $125 in product for your $99. So it's a really awesome deal. And there's a Hostess special going on also, and this is the first time maybe ever, I think ever, I've ever seen Stampin' Up! Do a Hostess special and a joining special in the same month, so pretty remarkable. And for the Hostess special, you get an extra $25 in product when your party's at $250, so that's a minimum of $50 at Hostess rewards. Pretty darn awesome. Now I also, yesterday was the last day to participate in my new catalog challenge and giveaway. Had a bunch of people post photographs of themselves with their catalog and their wish list. It was so fun to see people's smiling faces with their wish lists filled out. I'm going to announce the winner today. I have drawn using random.org, assigned everybody a number, and then put in my range of numbers and just press that little button and it tells me what number wins. So, but guess what? You have to wait until the end to find out. So that's actually, hopefully, so people who join late will be on with us and, you know, just to entice you to stay to the end if you need any extra enticing. So the winner will get to pick their own free stamp set, a $20 stamp set from the catalog, and they'll also get one of my new in-color bookmarks, still yet to be designed, but on my to-do list, and it's always fun to do that. And let's see what else. Okay, so the biggest announcement and newest thing today is that I have a new technique class, a pre-order that's available. It's my June technique class, and the focus is dry embossing with vellum techniques. So it's basically freehand dry embossing, not using an embossing folder, and I'll be showing 4 different ways to do it, 4 different variations, 4 different focal pieces. I want to tell you a little bit about my technique classes in general, just to kind of give you a little bit of background and understanding. So all my technique classes, every option, because there are a couple different options, include a video tutorial and 2 PDFs. The PDFs, one is focused on the projects with dimensions and photographs of the projects. The other is focused on the technique and is step-by-step instructions with photographs of every step in the process to create the technique. I also include whatever tips and tricks and, you know, things that, you know, I discover along the way as I play and create. I try to pack it full with anything and everything I can think of that would be helpful. And then you also get information in one of those PDFs for creating your own quick reference technique page. So there's the full PDF has, you know, detailed instructions, and then I create a technique page, quick reference page, so you can just kind of get a quick reminder without all the pictures and the details. So there's lots of different tools there for anybody who takes the class, whatever your learning style is, whether you want to watch the video or get, you know, have the support of additional things in writing. I got it covered. It's very thorough. I think anybody who takes the class would tell you so. So let's see, what else can I tell you? So you can choose an option to take the class either with a materials kit or without. And if you get a materials kit, the materials included would be enough to make 6 different cards, 2 each of 3 layouts. Now for this one of the layouts actually has 2 different focal pieces, so that's where I get the 4 different variations. And then of course you get the quick reference technique page materials as well to create also. So I wanted to show you my little album, but it's across the room, so I'll have to show you maybe next time. So okay, let's see what else can I tell you. So yeah, so you can sign up for an option with a materials kit or without. And if it's without, then you're just getting the electronic documents I described earlier. So anyway, I think they're pretty awesome classes. The pre-order goes through the 26th of June. And that just guarantees you'll get a materials kit. You can do the electronic option really at any time before or after the pre-order. But if you want a materials kit, you'll want to sign up for it before or by the 26th. Okay, so that's pretty much my little class advertisement. Let me know if you have questions or if you get confused by anything on my website. It's a lot of information, so I welcome any questions you have, and a phone conversation included. So, you can sign up for the options for the class on my website. So I'll include links in the Facebook description, the video description, and also in the YouTube description as well. So you can look there if you want to find out more. Alrighty, so let's get started with our project. So I'm going to go ahead and face the camera down. And I know people have joined in since I started talking, but so that I minimize my distraction, I haven't been saying my hellos, although I see Carol. Hi, Carol. Hi, Chris. You're the latest 2 comments. So actually, before I face the camera down, just say a quick hello. All right, so I'm going to face the camera down so you can see better. Let's go flip me around. I've still got all my product share materials laid out there on my tables. I'm working on it a little bit at a time. It's a lot of work, and in the evenings I've been taking all my little embellishments and dividing them up, and all the other pieces and parts, and sitting in front of the TV with my husband or my daughter or both, and assembling them. So working away at that. Okay, so these are the pages in the current catalog that show the Today's Tiles stamp set and the dies. And there's lots of different ways to use these this stamp set and dies. Of course, it's available as a bundle. You get 10% off when you buy it as a bundle. And, you know, they've done the tiles in multiple colors. They've paired it with the dies, with single colors covering the whole surface. They've even done them on an angle, which I think looks really cool. So anyway, I'm going to show you my own twist on it, but wanted to show you those pages in the catalog to get us, whoops, to get us started. Just dropped something, but nothing broke. So, of course, I'm using the Today's Tiles set, and I'm going to use this Peaceful Moments set for a sentiment for the project today. So, without further ado, I'm going to be using the Stamparatus for my project. And if you don't know how to use the Stamparatus, it's really an awesome tool, especially if you want sort of perfect placement and you're willing to play around a little bit to get it just so. And particularly if you're going to make multiples of any given project. So in this case, this would be really helpful. It took me a while to kind of get this set up the way I wanted to get the positioning just right. And I would like to actually make multiples of these, so I'm kind of set if I'm going to do that. All right, so for this one, I can't help myself but do a different color scheme from my final card. So you'll be seeing a couple different color schemes here. I've got my base piece set up here on the, whatever this is called, the plate. And it works best if you put a stamp set down in behind, because then it's nice and solid for when you're inking it up. Comment here if you actually have a Stamparatus and use it and what you think of it. I'd love to hear from you. So right here we're using Pacific Point ink, and when I think of tiles, one of my favorite things is like a blue and white color scheme. So that was just kind of my go-to. So the other variations I'm doing that I'm going to show you today use different blues, but I couldn't help myself but try the Pacific Point because I think it's maybe a perfect color for this kind of tile. So I've got my paper lined up against a pencil mark over here on the right. You don't ever want your stamp too close to this binding or whatever it's called, the spine. I don't even know what that's called. The hinge. I guess the hinge would be the right thing to call it. So I have it in, which is why my paper is not butt up against the corner. So what that means is you really need to use your magnets to keep your paper in place. Oh yay, yes, I see people love their Stamparatuses, if that's the right way to say it. So I've got one magnet here at the top, one at the bottom. Now these, if they get too close together, they kind of, you know, like they just love each other. They smack together, and I have actually broken one before. So you just want to make sure if you're using two that you keep them, you know, far enough apart from one another. Anyway, so I've got that set up, and I'm just going to go ahead and stamp my image. Now, the camera's right where my face would be, so probably got really loud just about now. And I'm going to press nice and hard into there. And then I like to lift it up slowly so that, because sometimes the photopolymer stamps will sort of stick to the paper a little bit. So now I didn't get one of these spots right here. You can see the leftover ink there. That's why I was like putting my body weight into it. So I'm going to just put it back down and do it again. This is one of the beautiful things about the Stamparatus. As long as your paper doesn't move, you can go right back over it. Now I can also ink that up again if I want to and go straight over the top, and that will work just fine. But I'm pretty happy with that as it is. So now I'm going to take the second part of my image. This is essentially like quick coloring in, if you will. And I've got that one mounted to the top. A little harder for me to reach here. Let's bring it down low. Now, what I decided I was going to do with this one, just to experiment, because I got to do it, is I'm going to stamp off, but use the same ink. So I'm just leaving that in there. Hope I'm living dangerously here. I put a piece of paper over the top so that I can take that first layer of ink off. And I didn't press too hard, but... And then we're going to go right over the top, and it'll be sort of a subtle difference in the colors, but two shades of blue in essence. And hopefully there's enough contrast because I'm doing this live. So you can see, and actually there's a few spots that didn't take, but it did show up lighter. And I did manage to get it in there, positioned pretty much just right to get it the way I want it. So one image superimposes over the other and makes these beautiful, beautiful tiles. And I do love this color with this tile. You can see there's my tester down there. That's actually just paper. I was just practicing on there. That one is actually, is that Night of Navy? I think it's Night of Navy and the new Cinnamon Cider. I'm going to show you another example of that as well in just a minute. So now for this one, I made a card with this basic design. I'll show you in just a sec. Trimmed off the edges, but I thought it would be fun to see what it looked like covering the whole thing with clear embossing powder. And part of the reason why I wanted to try that, and I'm going to do it on this one, is because, you know, tiles are shiny, right? So it also kind of brings out the color quite a bit when you use clear embossing powder over really anything. So we're going to go ahead and do that on this one. Close my ink pad so I don't end up by accident putting my fingers in it or something. Okay, so there's my clear embossing powder over the top. And then I'm going to make some noise. I'm going to go ahead and heat this. So it's the whole surface that's covered. So here we go. Takes a minute for the heat tool to get hot enough to actually melt. Now it's starting. Can you see it changing? It's so pretty when it changes. It just makes that blue. Oh, it's so pretty. Wow. I'm going to have to make a card of this one. The other one, of course, like I said, is a different set of blues, which I'll show you in just a minute. But we got to watch this beauty change. All right. Make sure I got every last bit of it. Got to look in the light. And looks like I pretty much got it. Anyway, you get the idea. Isn't that pretty? I think it's even prettier than what it was before. So now I've done this in my other color scheme. And the other color scheme, and I'll show you the one that is heat embossed. Now I took my piece and I cut it down. Now again, when I put it into my Stamparatus, I wanted it to be up against, butt up against the top. So I gave myself a little extra on the top and the bottom. But this piece, when it's cut down, actually is 4 1/4 inches, and it gives you this kind of perfect, nice edge. Now this one, the color scheme is Night of Navy. It's the first darker color, and the inside color is the Seaside Spray. And of course I've heat embossed that. So I'm going to assemble this card. So I've got a piece of Night of Navy here. I'm just going to take a little bit. Oh yeah, I forgot to show you the back side. So I did the back side in Night of Navy and the Bumblebee. And of course I also heat embossed it. Again, doing this thing that I do where now I have to choose between the two. It's just almost torture there. But I guess I have to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and put some adhesive on the back. I might have to do it on here. I'm just going to put that on there temporarily so I can tear the bottom, which is going to be the element on the bottom of this. And I'm doing a big section that's torn because I'm going to have another little element on the bottom. And I kind of want it to be sort of a wavy edge, not too regular. And by pulling towards me, I think I did tearing just recently, but you get those inside fibers on what's left over. And then that's going to get mounted to the front of my card. Now I could actually just see what it looks like that way too. That looks kind of pretty also. Tell me what you think. Do you like all blues or do you like the blue and the yellow? I don't know. They're both really pretty. Hard to choose. All right, so this card is actually quite simple. I've got this piece, and actually, look what I have. I wanted to show you this. I have my new Stampin' Seal. This is the new adhesive by Stampin' Up. Looks a little different. It's kind of bigger, probably easier to hold on to. I've barely used this, so hopefully I'm going to do a good job of using it here today. It's supposed to be quite a bit stronger than the snail, which is what I had used for this layer. Now, to get this to stick, you can see it's not really sticking. I'm going to have to put some extra adhesive on there because it's heat embossed on the back, and so that means it's a slick, sort of non-porous surface, and it's going to need some extra love on the adhesive front. Okay, so now I'm using a sentiment from the Peaceful Moments set for the front of this card. Now I'm doing something that I kind of actually hate to do, which is stamp right on the card. And the reason why I hate to do that is really just because if I mess up, it's the card body. So I'm going to test it on my paper, kind of eyeball it down there, and it wasn't quite straight, so I'm going to just kind of adjust it a little bit mentally. There we go. Yay, I did it. So happy when that happens. Okay, and then I'm going to just add one additional little embellishment to this, which is some of the new ribbon. This is part of the, what is it called? Flowers for Every Season suite. And you get a ribbon pack that's actually 3 different ribbons. This white ribbon, and then one that actually has the Misty Moonlight, baker's twine with silver in it. And there's also a ribbon in it that's gingham, that is the Just Jade, yes, in the green. I should really have it to show you, but it's a very pretty ribbon. So I'm going to do what I don't usually do. I'm going to make my cut a different angle than how I usually do it. Yeah, and I just want this element to be ever so small. And I just need a glue dot. Where are my glue dots? Well, anyway, you get the idea. I'm going to show you the finished one, but the glue dot is going to go right there, and that's my finished card. So here is the finished one without the heat embossing, so you can just kind of see the difference. It's a matte finish versus the glossy. So anyway, just super simple card, but those tiles just are so pretty that it just doesn't need much else. All right, so I got a couple of other things I wanted to show you. So I'm using, for my second card, I'm using the tiles as well. Bring back my Stamparatus. Take this away, and I've got some baby wipes handy because I'm going to clean this up. And I'm going to get back in my base layers. I'm going to show you a little trick that I figured out. Make sure I don't put it down somewhere. My baby wipe, it's going to mess up a paper project. All right, so I'm going to go back to my original color scheme, which is the Night of Navy. And I'm using a larger piece of cardstock this time. It's essentially double width. Oh, you like the blue and yellow? I'm seeing people's comments. Okay, well, I didn't really fully attach that focal piece, so I'm going to be messing with it and looking at it myself. See which one and see what all you guys say. I see 2 votes for blue and yellow. So I'm taking my piece here, and I'm pretty sure I wrote down the dimensions of this. Let me see if I have them handy. And I experimented with this a lot to make sure that it would work. So this piece, and it all is dependent on where you line up your stamp, so this may or may not be relevant for you, so you'll have to play with it. But this is 4 3/16 by 5 1/8, and I'm going to line it up against my pencil mark on the right, and I'm going to put my other magnet up here, ink up my base tiles, and I'm going to stamp, putting my body weight into it. And I like to lift it up slowly because that helps to release the stamp without pulling the paper up. Now I have a little spot there that didn't quite get enough ink, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more. And I'm just going to do the whole thing to make sure I don't get uneven inking. And then I'm going to bring in my other shape. Put my other stamp case in behind. And we'll start with the bumblebee. And then I'm just going to stamp it right over the top. Oh, I see we have a vote for all blue. Let's see. Oh, another blue and yellow. Reminds you of Italy. Yeah, it seems like blue and yellow is it's like a lot of sports teams and stuff use the blue and yellow. Anyway, so now I have my yellow. So now I'm going to flip my card stock. Done this intentionally this way. Now, here's the tricky part. I'm going to test it. I'm going to put it up against that line there. When I was messing with this, I needed to make sure there was enough space in between. And I think I just don't want it to be too much space. I don't know, that looks like it's going to be right. Okay, so I'm going to add my blue again. This navy somehow looks darker than it did when I did it the first time. Alrighty, so the blue. All right. And then I'm going to clean this second stamp that's going on there because I'm going to do it in a different color the second time around. So the second color I'm going to use is my Cinnamon Cider, one of the new in colors. I really like how these two colors go together, the Bumblebee and the Cinnamon Cider. They're going to be great for the fall too. Okay, and then right over the top. Now, in the end, this focal piece is going to get cut down at the top and the bottom, so it ends up being pretty close to 4 1/8 or 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. I can't remember which one. So I'm just going to go ahead and move my Stamparatus out of the way. And you guys also probably know you can't have this one over the top of that one. So once one's folded down, you have to take the other one out of its hinges before you move it out of the way. All right, so I've got one more little trick to show you, and then I'll show you the finished card of this. And the trick is with the sentiment. So we're going to use this punch. I labeled it so I wouldn't have to remember the name. The Lovely Labels Pick a Punch, which allows you to punch basically 6 different shapes of punch. So you get these 2 end element shapes, if you will, and then you get the 3 widths for each. So the first time I talked about this, before I had used it, somebody mentioned that they had some difficulty with it, and so I wanted to talk about it just a little bit. So first of all, my sentiment is going to be small, right? It's this little piece here, which I have cut already with this. So it started as a piece of 1 3/4 by 1 3/4, and then I punched the 2 ends so it gets a little bit smaller. Takes off about 1/4 of an inch, an 1/8 of an inch from each side when you cut it out. So I'm going to back it with this piece of Cinnamon Cider, but it's really small, right? Like if I put it in there, I tried to do this and it's lost, right? You can't hold on to it. I almost thought it was going to get lost in the inner workings when I was playing with it. So I'm going to create myself a little handle. So I've just got a scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock, some adhesive at the end, and I'm just going to attach it right there. So now I have a handle to make it as long as I need it to be. So I'm going to tuck it in there. And I did put real adhesive on this because I don't want to lose it in there. And then I'm going to turn it over. And this is where it will wiggle. You see, that's what I think the person that was mentioned it said. It might have been Sally is what I'm remembering. And so it will wiggle. So you do have to look on the back side and make sure that your cardstock is lined up evenly on the punch. And then you can go ahead and punch it out. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Making sure it's really stuck to my handle. You see the handle's not on there straight, but that's okay. It just needs to be enough that you can hold on to it to get it in place and make sure it's centered back there. So now I got my finished backing piece, And I'm going to stamp with a sentiment from today's tiles. Now, I played around with a couple of different sentiments from here. The just want to say hello and the wishing you peace and happiness. I really like those. And then also the namaste. And if you're a yoga person, I am a yoga person. I love yoga. Great physical activity and mental as well. Namaste basically means I honor the light in you. So it's sort of a way of saying I see the beauty in you, I see what's special in you, and I just love that. It's just so close to my heart. I just love it. So we say namaste at the end of every class, and it's just a really sweet, lovely sentiment. So that's what I'm going to use. Namaste. Namaste to all of you. I'm just going to stamp that right in the center of my piece. And then I'm just going to attach that to my backing. Ah, it's not working properly. It's got about 1/8 of an inch on all sides for my sentiment. Okay, so for my finished card, I cut this down, like I said, to, it was either 4 1/8 or 4 1/4, something in there, and then made it into a large square card. So there's my layers, and I've used, again, the bumblebee and the cinnamon cider, just a strip of 2 inch by 5.5 inch. This is a 5.5 by 5.5 inch card, and then layered in behind my Night of Navy, and I've got dimensionals in behind the Night of Navy. So we'll get to now play with what sentiment I'm going to use. So this is the one that I just stamped. Okay, now's the time for you guys to weigh in. I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of each of them. So there's the Night of Navy, and I wasn't sure that that really showed up enough because it sort of blends in with the background a little bit. And then there's this one. Just wanted to say hello, and how can you go wrong with that one, right? And then the last one is this one, which needs dimensionals on the back. So I'm going to grab some dimensionals, and I'm going to watch and see what you guys all think. I know it's a small little detail, but it's always fun to hear from you guys and see what your opinion is. Share the creative experience a little bit. So there's that one. Namaste. I think it sort of shows up a little bit better. That one's pretty straight up. Last one. The last one. Was the last one the cinnamon cider with the namaste? I'm watching. Somebody's going to type, yes, cinnamon cider with the cinnamon cider, or with the navy. I keep asking questions. Yes. Okay, good. Thank you, Christy. Namaste with the cinnamon cider. Okay, well, good. That's what I was thinking, too. I think that's my favorite. Glad I got at least one agreement on that. Actually, it sounds like there were several. So we'll go ahead and put that on there. So I don't often make cards that are sort of odd sizes or big, but with this one, it just had to happen because the tiles are just so gorgeous. And as you may remember from the catalog, some of them were just colored, right? So you could do your background color and then just use markers and color individually into each one of these instead of using the overlay stamp. Oh, yay. Thanks for confirming, Diane. and Pam and Tina. Yes, very good. Okay, well, so there is my finished project. Now, I also contemplated putting Versamark on this one, and then that would get all shiny. But doesn't it look pretty just like that? I think it's so gorgeous. I'm so happy with these. Okay, so there's my finished projects. All of them with the shiny. Now I have to decide on this one with the yellow. I'm going to look at you guys' comments and see what you all think. But so much fun. And really not that complicated. Now, I will say that if you're using your Stamparatus, You will need to play with it a bit to get the spacing just right. And if you have the patience and time to do that, it is well worth it, because then once you do it again, you know, you could do it again and again and have it line up just so, which is great. So let us, I'm going to turn the camera and we'll finish up. All right. Now, ah yes, I'm finally getting smart. I got to turn it without my face on top of it. Oh, I see, is that you, Debbie? Was that Debbie's face? Showing up lots of times? Is that another way of showing love? Okay. Hey, I'm back. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the project today. It will, of course, be on my blog tomorrow, sometime during the day in the afternoon. So you'll get dimensions and all the details and the supply list and all that good stuff if you need it. And don't forget about the Hostess special, the extra $25 in rewards, the starter kit special, getting a free bundle. How can you argue with that? And now, oh, and of course, if you're interested in my technique class, my dry embossing with vellum cardstock, make sure to check that out. You have till the 26th, but the 26th is, I think, next Thursday? No, next Friday. It's next Friday. So you have another week to decide if you're interested in that class. And do feel free to let me know if you have questions. Like, again, I'm happy to have a phone conversation. If you have questions about my technique classes, I do have several different options for how to sign up for them. So I know that can be confusing to some people, but I just want to give people choices that work for them. So, all right, so we do have one big announcement, and I wish you guys were here to do this. The drum roll, please. What's the drum roll for? Well, you remember, I'm going to announce the winner. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you. I'm glad you like the cards of the new catalog challenge and giveaway. So the winner is going to get a free stamp set, $20 value. You have to message me or email me, however, to give me your address if I need it. I don't think I will, because I think I have the person's address. But is everybody ready? You guys ready to find out who won? I don't even think she's here. I don't think I saw her show up today, but usually she's on. So the winner is Loralee Falvey. I think I'm saying that right. She was the very first person to share her photograph. Now that was just random, because again, I used random.org and just picked a number, you know, assigned everybody a number, and then just let the random thing do its thing. So anyway, congratulations to Loralee. Let me know what stamp set you would like, and I will have it ordered and get your new bookmark out to you as soon as it's made. So I will be back next Thursday, same time, same channel, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with another fun project. Make sure to check out my blog post with the details of this project today. That will be live tomorrow. And thank you so much for joining in. Love having you here. Love seeing all your names flashing across the screen. And oh, yay, Loralee is here. Yay, so you are the winner. Yay, Loralee. So anyway, we'll see you next week, and have a wonderful, wonderful week. And thank you for the hearts. That always makes me so happy. Hearts flashing on the screen just makes me so happy. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye. Namaste. Now that you know what it means.